Hey there everybody, Swandzz here today to make an impromptu video. I have some bullet points written down to keep me on track, okay? This is something I've been thinking about recently. I had a friend, we were talking about art, and they are not themselves an artist, but they were talking about an artist they admire, we were talking about stuff, and the topic of digital art versus traditional art was brought up, and they asked which one I thought was easier. And it actually got like the gears in my brain kind of churning about this topic. And so in this video, I kind of just want to give my personal opinion as a freelance artist, as somebody who's been doing art for the last 20 years of their life. I just want to give my opinion about the pros and cons of both the traditional medium and the digital medium, and which I think is easier. That's a very loaded phrase because I'm not gonna say either one is easy. So right off the bat, you know, I'm not the end all be all for this type of information. And just remember at the end of the day, it's up to you which is going to be easier or better, because if you have a drive to do one over the other, that drive is going to make the difference, right? So if you're super into digital art, do digital art, regardless of anything I have to say in this video, okay? If you're super into traditional art, do traditional art, regardless of anything I have to say in this video. I'm not here to tell you what art speaks to you. I'm just here to give the pros and cons of each medium. I think digital art is easier, and I'm going to give you all of the reasons why I believe that to be true. So with the digital medium, you have the ability to change anything at the drop of a hat in a way that you don't in a traditional sense, okay? With digital art, you have your painting program, and then you have your drawing tablet. So you might have the type of tablet where you draw here and then you look at the monitor, and those are definitely more difficult because there's a learning curve there. So you have to get used to not looking where your hand is while you're drawing and getting used to looking at the screen. But once you get over that, you know, it's a very easy way to draw. However, I would say that drawing on like an iPad, like with Procreate, I think that's like the new thing, with a stylus pen, that's going to be more like traditional drawing in terms of you don't have to look somewhere else and disassociate in your brain from where the fuck you're supposed to be looking. So because you're using a digital art program, you have an unlimited array of brushes and colors at your disposal. Not only that, but you don't have to pay for materials. So you pay for the art program and the tablet, right? So let's say you're buying an iPad and a stylus, and that's now your materials. You never have to buy paint again. You never have to buy new brushes. You never have to buy pencils or pens or paper. All of your materials are in a digital form. So it's also less expensive. So not only do you have unlimited materials, unlimited brushes, unlimited paper, unlimited colors, unlimited paints, basically, you also have the ability to change things more easily. So what I mean by this is, let's say you're drawing a portrait, right? So you're painting a portrait. You draw one eye a little too high up. In a traditional medium, let's say like acrylic paint and canvas, you have to paint over that spot, wait for it to dry, and then repaint that eyeball. In a digital medium, you can take like a liquify tool, for example, if let's say you're using Photoshop. You can take the liquify tool and literally grab that eyeball and just move it down. And then, you know, if any lines got blurred, you can like crispen up the lines. And you don't even technically need to draw over it to crispen up the lines. You can literally like sharpen the lines, you know, with different tools. So that's my point. It makes it so much easier to fix mistakes. And so things that would be much more time consuming in a traditional sense, you can, you know, do more efficiently in a digital medium. So you can look at one painting that, let's say, might take days or a week to do traditionally, and you can do it much quicker. You could do it in like 6 hours digitally, just by the sheer fact that you can adjust things much, much easier. Digital art also has very crisp and clean line art unless you choose a brush that has a more crayon or pencil-like texture to it. And that's the beautiful thing. Like, you know, with traditional art, your materials matter so much. If you don't have good pens or good paper, you know, your ink is gonna bleed and things like that. Basically, all of that is taken out of the equation if you use digital art. All of those brushes are available to you, and the lines are always gonna come out perfect. The ink's never gonna bleed. You know, there's not gonna be as much user error or material error to take into consideration. Then, you know, you also have the ability to adjust the artwork and literally change anything at the drop of a hat. Let's say you do a portrait and you make the girl's hair red. You decide, you know what, I want her to have green hair or blue hair or pink hair or blonde hair. It's literally as easy as adjusting a slider to change that color. This is not something you can do with traditional art. You would literally have to redo it. So that's my point when I say it's easier. It's just that it's simpler. It makes things more accessible. I also believe that digital art is better for mass-produced artwork. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're gonna do stickers. I think the digital medium is typically better for things like that. Or if you're gonna do decals for clothes, stuff like that. Because you have all those colors available to you, and you can adjust the brightness and the crispiness and all that stuff. It gives you more control over how the image is going to print. Of course, you can draw something traditionally, bring it into Photoshop, and then Photoshop it, and I do that all the time. So it's not like if you're gonna do digital art, you have to just do digital art, or if you're gonna do traditional, you have to just do traditional. The two can work together and be better than either one separately. Does that make sense? So that was a lot of pros for the digital art medium, and that's because it's a great medium. However, I think there's a real con to using it, and this is my personal opinion, but I believe that traditional art builds more solid techniques and a more solid base of art skills, okay? With traditional art, you cannot really cut corners, okay? You have to learn the basics, and you have to learn them well, and if you don't, it's going to show in your paintings, in your drawings, etc. Learning to blend colors, learning to make your own colors, that is a very fundamental skill when it comes to art, and it's like the building block. It helps you build an eye for color. And so if you don't have that, it's possible that you're going to suffer as an artist. Or that just because you're good at digital art, it might not translate well into other forms of art because you don't have those fundamental skills. Like, I personally believe that as an artist, you should know what the primary colors are. You should be able to make any color that you need within reason. There's obviously some very iridescent, neon, unnatural colors that are not easy to mix yourself. But you should be able to take, like 5 different colors of paint and be able to do a whole giant painting with all different colors in it. So I do believe that traditional art forces you to learn techniques properly, and it doesn't give you as many shortcuts to a good piece or a well done piece. I think with digital art, there's a lot of shortcuts. Just as simple as that. It makes it very easy to change things and to go around things that you would otherwise have to face head on in the traditional sense. I am not saying by any means that if you're a digital artist solely that you're not a good artist. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that personally, I believe that traditional art is a little more difficult because things aren't as easy to change. So it basically forces you to learn how to do it the hard way, and then when you go to digital art, you can kind of have a breather and be like, oh, thank God I don't have to redraw this entire thing. I can just kind of liquefy it a little bit and then I'll be good. Other than that, I also think that traditional art is much better for like gallery displays and for having like pieces hung in the house. There's just something about the original version of a painting that has so much life in it. I even think that original versions of traditional art are better than like prints of traditional art, because it, you know, a print is that one level of separation from the original, and I feel like in that level of separation you lose a lot of the feeling, and that, you know, is obviously just a personal preference, but I don't like printed artwork as much as originals, and therefore, you know, the traditional medium for me is always going to be more special in terms of like the presence that it brings and how it feels. So I spent a large part of my teens and early 20s doing mostly digital art because I really loved anime, and so I wanted to do a lot of anime style art. There's a lot of speed paints on my channel that are digital, and then I got into doing a lot of portrait work that was digital, and then I grew a lot as a digital artist. But here's the thing, when I tried to do traditional artwork, I realized that I didn't know how to do it anymore, because the techniques that you learn in digital art are so specific to that medium. They don't translate as well. So I could draw this photorealistic person in Photoshop with all the different smudge tools and blend tools, but then traditionally I didn't have the techniques to actually do it. So I think that's what I'm trying to convey, is I had to relearn how to draw people or how to paint people traditionally, and I'm still not quite as good as I am digitally. In my personal opinion, I think that you should work on your traditional skills even if you want to do digital artwork, because it's always nice to be able to do both. And I think traditional skills translate better into digital art than digital skills translate into traditional art. I hope that makes sense. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Which do you prefer? Digital, traditional? Which one do you think is easier? And as I said, that's a loaded statement because it's kind of all up to the individual which they find easier. Because, you know, drawing by hand is pretty easy. You have a lot of control over your own hand. And then, you know, drawing on a tablet, it seems that you have a little bit less control. So it's all very subjective, but I do think I raised some fair points in this video, and I would love to hear what you guys think about that in the comment section below. As always, if there's a certain topic in art that you'd like to hear me talk about, feel free to suggest that, and if I think I have something important to say, I will talk about it in a sequential video. I don't have good English. I know English well. Now I'm going to take a moment to thank my patrons. Thank you guys so much for all of your love and support. It means the absolute world to me. And I just want to mention very quickly that the tarot deck pre-order has now closed. So if you had the chance to buy yours, thank you so much. And I will have them made and packaged and sent to you as soon as possible. And if you missed out on it, you'll just have to follow me on Instagram for future announcements of when I might be printing the deck again. Sorry, love you. Now I'm going to verbally thank my diamond tier patron. Thank you very much, Sarah. Your love is chef's kiss as always, and I will catch you guys all in the next video. Bye. Okay, you can click all my little buttons. You can click my subscribe circle or the video or playlist that is listed. You will also find that link to my Patreon where you can support me for as little as $1 a month. And then for $5 a month, you get stickers. So I mean, it's up to you. I'll catch you guys in the next one.